For Jozetzar, son of Shemanah, and Jehezabad, the son of Shammah, his servants, smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and Amazekah, his son, reigned in his stead. Let me read that again. Um, when I studied this, um, it appears that they killed him. They had a conspiracy and they killed him. They didn't like the way he led and ruled, and his son reigned in his stead. What we're seeing here, what we're seeing is a time in history where there was just a lot of disruption and a lot of chaos and just a lot of difficult things happening. Um, One of the things about kingdoms, and I've seen it when I've studied the kings of Europe and even the kings of Russia, kings and queens. Once you get that high up and you get a position as a king, then you got to fight to protect your position. And a lot of times they were paranoid. So if you looked at them like you were going to take over, they had you put in jail or they killed you. A lot of times, when a king became a king, he might have all his brothers killed so that no one can challenge the throne. And you had stuff like that happening. And it happened all the time. So unfortunately, God's people got a lot of things wrong. I guess there's a couple of lessons in there for us. One is that we ought to always try to do the right thing. That there's one of the things that you'll see, and I've seen this in law, that when people come together to try to do the right thing generally happens. So if we have a loving spirit and a loving heart, and we want to do the right thing, even when we have a difference in agreement about something, we disagree about the boundary line. Let's just say me and my neighbor, I think that the fence ought to be here. He thinks the fence ought to be there. I tell you what, if we both are trying to do the right thing and we sit down and we reason amongst each other, we're going to work that out. It's when you have one person at least who decides that I don't care what the right thing is, I want it to go my way. Then you're going to have problems. But if both people, and I don't care what the dispute is, if you have both people who have the right heart, you can get it resolved. I remember when I was teaching Selena Malik about dispute resolution, because kids get to arguing and fighting about toys and stuff like that all the time. So I would walk in the room because I would hear the commotion, and I said, "What's going on?" "Well, he's been playing with the truck too long. I need to play. I want to play with the truck." So I say, "Give me the truck," and I look at it and I say, "I tell you what," and I set it on the table and I say, "Y'all work it out, because if you don't work it out, then the truck is mine." So I walk out of the room and I just listen on, and I can hear them. "Well, I don't want Dad taking the truck." And so you can hear them say, "Now you play with it for 30 minutes, and then I'll play with it for 30 minutes. And they would work it out. And there have been many times that they come to me and they're scrapping about something, and I just say, "Y'all figure it out." And so when you have two people who know that we need to try to do the right thing, you'll figure out the right thing. Brother Burton, did you have your hand up?
No.
Okay. So in your disputes, as you deal with things, there's one person you can control, is your attitude, your feelings, and your demeanor, and you can always control that person's attitude. So if you decide that I want to do what's right here, first of all, it's gonna increase the likelihood that the other side is gonna want to have the same attitude. And if you got both people wanting to have the same attitude, I promise you, it's gonna get worked out. We got 2 more minutes. I think we finish up at 7:50 or 7:45, Jerry. What did we say?
7:45.
Okay. Okay, so we got a couple minutes. Does anybody have any other questions? Because I'll just make this one last point. Um, yeah, okay. Then we have a few more minutes. We have a similar challenge here in North Houston where we are in a construction mode where we got to work together to deal with some construction, and it's like any house. If you don't repair it and you don't fix things, and like at our house, a tree fell with the high winds a few weeks ago, and we had to come up with a plan to get those stumps and stuff out of there. We're renting, so we called the landlord and worked out something. But you can't just let things go and not deal with it, because over time you're gonna have a problem. So then the other point that we learned tonight is that when we make a decision to repair something, you don't disregard that, because it's an important decision. The king came and told him, the temple needs to be repaired. So I want you to take up a collection, and when you get the money, repair the building. Well, if you disregard that, and I know how things happen like that, and I see it all the time, let's just say I'm getting $100 a month, every month, because, I don't know, let's just say my mother put in a trust for me that every month I want Harry to get $100 a month. And let's say I go 10 years like that, and then Mama comes around and says, your house has been torn down and worn down, and you ain't been doing no repair on your house. That $100 a month you've been getting, I want you to start setting that aside and fixing up this house. That may be a hard decision to make, because I've gotten used to that $100 a month. So sometimes, and I have to do this in law, where sometimes I have to do it with my own client, sometimes I have to tell the other lawyer to do it with their client. When people get excited about money, sometimes you have to get them unexcited about money to make the right decision. So someone thinks that they're gonna get a big check, and sometimes you can't move forward till you get them in their own mind to realize that that big check you was gonna get is not gonna be as big as you thought it was. And sometimes I can't move the case forward till the person comes to a point where they realize, okay, that $100 a month ain't gonna be coming no more. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, one thing I like to say, you can't just, money, when it come around to money, you just can't put anybody over money.
Yes.
Collective money.
Yes.
You have to have special people, honest people.
Yes.
Do the right thing.
Yes.
You can't get anybody to be over it, because like I say, money is just fixing.
Yes. Good point. Everybody can't handle and manage money. I know that a lot of lawyers get in trouble about money, because we are in an industry where it's common to pay a lawyer first before the lawyer do any work, and then the lawyer does the work based upon the retainer you pay. A lot of lawyers take that money and spend it first, and then you can't find it, because the money's spent, and it's amazing how when the money is already spent, I all of a sudden don't return your calls.
There you go.
You trying to get me to find out, well, where's that document you said you were going to write up? You can't even get me to answer the phone because I ain't done it yet. And so you got to be careful about managing money and knowing what to do with money. We want to be in prayer about money, because money can mess some folks up. I have seen money cause marriages to split up. I've seen money cause business partners to go separate ways. Money is a tool that you use to do the right thing. If you think of it that way, you most of the time make the right decision. If house hunters and house shows, and it's amazing to us what people talk about when they're getting ready to buy a house. It's usually about things for themselves. Man, then I can sit out here on this balcony and really enjoy life, or that I can sit in front of my fire. So it's usually something to benefit yourself. But when you start seeing money as a way to please God and praise God, and with this car I can help some more people, or I can serve more people. We can have Bible study at our house. When you start seeing your resources as something to do God's work with, it helps you make the right decision about money. If the only thing you can think about when you think about your money is yourself, then money has become your God, and whatever it is that money is buying. But when you think about, okay, we got these resources, let's see how far we can go with it in blessing others with these resources. God always blesses you. I'll say that when you think of things that way, somehow God would never let you run dry. And if I'll just say this story. You notice in the Bible where Jesus had the disciples he asked the disciples to ask the people to sit down, because I'm going to bless. Basically, they had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, and disciples wanted to send the folks home. He said, there's not enough here. This little boy, and I said, all we got is this little boy's fish and bread. Jesus said, set the people down. We're gonna bless it. And he just broke it up and passed it out. Now the disciples were working. They passing it out. The Bible says they collected up 12 baskets of extras. There were 12 disciples. Now each disciple walked away with a basket full of fish and bread. And God, so when you're doing God's work, you walk off with more than you started out with. And so when you out giving and serving and doing what God wants you to do, I've never seen God forsake His. So if we build into our culture and into our thinking, I'm a servant for the Lord, and I'm going to be here to bless others, you always have something to eat. Yes, sir, Brandon.
So, when you're out there and you think of it and everything else, people always say, you're earning a paycheck, you're spending your money, should you get something for yourself?
Oh, I don't have a problem getting something for myself. I don't ever, okay, I'll use myself. There ain't a whole lot that I really want. I tell Melanie when we're thinking about Father's Day, there's not a whole lot that I don't already have. And so, yeah, there's some toys out there. There's a certain BMW that I would love to have. But I'm not going to let that thought get so important to me that I forget that I already got a car. So if I got the extra money and I got the resources and it makes sense, then fine. So yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with a person having nice things.
Okay.
But we ought to make sure that our priority is serving the Lord. And so we don't need to have nothing if it's going to stop me from being a good dad. Because I can get real specific. I don't even have to, it doesn't necessarily mean being here every Wednesday night and teaching classes. Can I take care of Malik and Selena and be their dad in the best way I can? Can I be Melanie's husband? Can I do my job as a lawyer and not cheat my clients? Or do the need for that BMW, is that so important that I can't act right as a father? And I got to steal from my client because the BMW payment is due. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, we're at the end. We'll take these final questions and we'll get ready.
If you do the right thing, like you said, you take the sources, and not all, everything, but if you take some of your sources and apply it to God, God always gonna make sure that you have plenty
Yes,
because you doing what you're supposed to be doing.
yes,
If you seek him first,
yes.
everything else will be added.
That's right.
So he gonna make sure that you, yeah, that
That's
you be
it.
all right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
But if you do everything for yourself,
Yeah. And we've dealt with people. Y'all have dealt with people who, I'm gonna use an ugly word, I call them hustlers. Always trying to get a disadvantaged deal. Always, okay, I'm supposed to get $2, but I'm gonna take 3. Always, and they don't feel comfortable unless they got more than they should have got out of something. We've met people like that.
Listen, point.
And we know this is consistent. I can promise you that most people like that, they never have enough. They always need one more dollar
Yeah.
because they looking always to get more than I have a word for it. I taught it to my kids. I would say, don't overget. And they understood and learned that what that meant is, okay, there may be some cookies in the cookie jar. I said, don't overget. And what I'm telling them is, yeah, you can get as many cookies as you want, but use some judgment in terms of how many to get.
Somebody
That's
else.
right.
Yeah, exactly.
Brother Tyner, we all gonna make me go over it. We having such fun. What's going on, Brother Tyner?
The Bible said in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and with those Psalms 37:25, David said, now I'm old, I have never seen the righteous
Yeah,
forsaken or beg for bread.
yeah.
As long as we keep our hand in God's hand doing what's right.
And Brother Tyner, we sometimes we have to trust in that.
That's right.
You're in a situation where you can tell a lie and get something that you shouldn't get, or you can cut corners or something. I've never seen the righteous forsaken. You gotta stand on that and trust in it and do right.
Do right.
Yes. Brother Burton, you want to give us our call tonight? You want to, or you want me to? It doesn't matter.
We won't be already up there.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me, Brother Burton. We want to hear from Senior. All right.
Let us all give Harry a hand. Wonderful job, guys. Wonderful job. We want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. We just appreciate you so much. You know, this kind of lesson here make your mind run way back. And we got to keep on studying. The Bible tells us to study, to show ourselves approved unto God. Workmen that need not be ashamed, so that we can rightly divide the word of God. So always be willing to study God's word. You know, that's the only way we're going to grow. You study the word of God. You can't grow no other way, spiritually. But when you study God's word, you eat that spiritual food.
Right.
Eat that spiritual food, and you'll be able to tell somebody else about something. The Bible told us as an apostle to go ye therefore in all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. You didn't say just black, white, whoever you run into. You're supposed to teach them the gospel of Christ. Ain't nothing wrong with taking time and doing that. But we got to study. We can't tell nobody nothing we don't study. We have to study God's word. And also to make the church grow, we want the church to grow. And the way we do it is get out here and, if we can't teach nobody else outside our family, we can teach our family.
Right.
You can invite them in your home, and you can teach them God's word. Don't be afraid to teach the gospel. Paul said on one occasion, he said, I didn't shun nothing. I preached the whole counsel of God. In Acts 20, I preached the whole counsel. That means he tell you exact what God's word tell you. I used to tell all the time when I used to preach all the time. I said, don't say what Brother Burton said. Say what my Bible said. Yeah, say what my Bible said. You don't come up here talking about what Brother Burton said or Brother Harris said or this. We try to teach you the word of God, but yet still, I want you to, when you are teaching, tell the people what the Bible said, not what the preacher said. Because the preacher could be wrong. Tonight we may have someone that haven't obeyed the gospel of Christ. We say, Lord, I have believers in you, but we always want to extend the invitation of the Lord. The Bible tells us that the gospel is the death, the burial, and the resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And we have, if you want to be a Christian, you want to be a child of God, you come by hearing the word of God. Matthew 17:5. And also believing it, John 3:16. We believe the gospel. Believe what? Believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. That's right. Be willing to repent. Turn from your wicked ways. Turn from your wicked ways and turn to Christ. And start studying the Bible. Doing things the Bible way. And making that great confession. I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. Matthew 10:32. Last but not least, but be baptized. Knowing what you're getting baptized for. And that is for the remission of your sin. And when you baptized for the remission of your sin, God will add you. He will add you to the church. And we all can teach our families that. We all can tell our families what they must do in order to be a child of God. Don't be afraid to tell them. Don't be ashamed of the gospel of Christ. Tell them the truth, and the truth will set them free. You have strayed away, you come back by repenting, confessing, and praying, and keep on living that faithful Christian life. And if you keep living that life, God will reward you. You will be able to, see, like the old folks say, catch that train when it's going back to heaven. And Jesus, when he come back on the cloud, you'll be able to get on that with him and go on back to heaven and be there with the Lord forever and ever. Because this world is not our home. We just pass it through. It's just like I said, just like God said at a funeral, said, life is just like a vapor. It's a little while, soon. I'm sure you soon be forgotten. You soon be forgotten. You go on back to glory. Huh? So let us live the Christian life. And we're not afraid of life. We want to be happy. We want to be just as happy as you can be. But just don't forget about Christ. He died for you. He was buried. He rose again the third day, according to the Scripture. Yeah. We'll be able to be with him and God forever. You know, I pray that prayer. Ask God, look here. Whatever happens, Lord, let me die in your son's name. Amen. I know I got to die. One day I know I got to leave here. But I want to die in Jesus' name, right? Yes, sir. I want to be somewhere forever. It's just temporarily. Just temporarily. If anyone in either one of these conditions would ask you honestly, sing a worship song, and you want to come forward, the water ready, we have baptism coming from another congregation, from the Shade Acres. They are moved to another place and they don't have the baptism. Ooh, somebody working. We need to go to work too, church. We need to get somebody, teach somebody the word of God. All of us need to be teaching somebody about God. That's the only way we're going to grow. You can't grow just sitting in these walls. You can sit in these walls and praise God. That's what it's for. We come here and praise God, but we got to get out and go to work. Go out and get out and go to work. Let us stand while together we stand. Come from